Peace and welcome to the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. My name is Minister Charmaine and we are hosting today's Friday night from the UK branch. Welcome everybody. So we have a topic today which is called Money or the Love of Money is the Root to All Evil. We'll know that that is written in the book of Timothy. So I want to welcome the panel members that will be joining me today to have this discussion. We have on the panel, if we can have, we have Priest Ricardo. We have joining us also, yes, is Josiah Fowler. And we also have Jerusha Clark. Yes. So how are we feeling, guys? How's everybody? Good?
Good.
Excited?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the love of money is the root to all evil. Now, we want to really look at that topic. We really want to observe what those words actually mean, and we want to see if they apply to some of the things that are going on in the world today, especially where it impacts our people. So for those who know us and those who are part of us, you will know that we are Israelites and we are of the bloodline of Jacob. Jacob was a man. So we're of the bloodline of Jacob. And you will also know that sometimes we refer to ourselves as the children of slavery. And we do that for a reason and a purpose. We do that because we understand that we should never really forget where we have come out from. It's not where we began. We never began as slaves, but it's a significant part of our history that we are the descendants of children of slavery living today in this generation, in this Western world, because it had a massive impact on our journey and how we see the world today. That makes sense, panel members?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so being the descendants of slavery, we really want to look at this love of money. Because if you think about it, and let's get into the discussion, guys, we were traded as a people. So every nation, they trade with another country so that they can make money or profit. So for example, you could say China, for example, they may trade their teas. Okay, England might buy the teas from China. China might, make profit on them. India might trade their spices and their herbs and they make profit on them. Well, we as a human people were traded to make money for this Western hemisphere that we live in. What are your thoughts, guys? Josiah?
I agree with what you're saying. It's true. A lot of the things, like in terms of trades, you trade for equal value. So back in the days as well, you had the stronger or the better slaves will get traded for a better price as well. So it goes in kind of how what you're saying as well.
Yeah. What do you think, Jerusha?
Yes, I also agree. I feel like we were traded, and that was to make them money. And through even actions that we see now, through like the music industry, we are still traded, which helps them and benefits them in making money.
Okay. So if you look, Ricardo, before I go on, what are your thoughts?
So with the trading, as I said, even though we're talking about the love of money and that, right? I know sometimes it could be looked at as a bad thing, like, money, but not to love money. But we are going somewhere with it, like to say, even though we're saying that the love of money could, is like the root of all evil, right? But we're not saying that not to have money, because we need money to survive, right? If you ain't got money, what are you going to go and do, right? You're going to go do something else to get what you're going to get, right? But there is something behind it where we're getting at. So even the trading and stuff like that, it's not a bad thing, but what makes it bad is when you start getting corrupted with it and when you start doing the wrong thing to earn it. and then people get hurt by it, and you go off a complete different direction, and then you see that maybe that money, that wealth, those goods is the wrong way. We're treating it the wrong way, and
Well,
we're trying to treat it the wrong way.
you said maybe it's not a bad thing. So do you think us being sold for money was a good thing or a bad thing?
No, it
Would
was
you
a
go as
bad thing.
would you go as far as selling human beings to make a profit? Would you go as far as that?
No, but so when you look at that, that is bad. But then it came with, the instructions, which we might have got to there if we just only listened to the instructions. You know what I mean? Only if we just did that, would have been good. But
Well,
the barrier was lifted from us for those things to happen. But then they went too far in how they went about it, right? So.
So in what you're saying there, you're referring to Deuteronomy 28. That's something that we teach about the blessing and the curse, right? So as Israelites, we talk about the relationship that we have with our God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And as a father to us, we know that he will provide for us, protect us, take care of us. However, he said if we turn away from him and we're disobedient and we want to go about our own business, doing our own thing and serving other gods, that it's going to be that we're going to be given onto another people who are going to sell us, basically.
Yep.
That's the history of our people. We didn't choose the blessings that would have come from our father. We chose the curses that came with going against him, right?
I mean, this is something. It's just funny when you brought up that. Yeah, it's just when you look at it, like you say, the blessing, the curses, and that. It's just like, why wouldn't you choose the blessing? You know what I mean? Because the blessings came with everything. It said, like even everything you do with your hands, you'll be blessed. Your fruit will be blessed. Your womb will be blessed. You'll be blessed in every corner. Like when you read the scripture in Deuteronomy 28, you'll be blessed. But if you don't follow those things, we'll look at the curses. But when you weigh up, people are going to say, well, we didn't choose the curse. The curse came upon us. No, it didn't. We did follow instructions, and then the curse came. We was given instructions. So if we kept the instructions, then you'll be blessed with all these things. But if you didn't, then the curse will come.
Yeah. And it's almost like our father kind of telling us about the dangers that are outside as well. It's funny because I was watching something the other day. I like to watch these reality TV shows, and one of them was called Love and Hip Hop. Yeah, don't judge me on that. And they were having a reunion thing, and one of the younger women, 25-year-old women, turned and she said, I grew up with a really good family. I had a good family, but you know what? I wanted to do my own thing. I wanted to go out and experience the world myself. So I went out and did my own thing and left my household because I thought I was grown enough. Before she knew it, she was in the hands of a man that she said trafficked her. So though she got into the hands of a man, got under that influence, and she was being trafficked and she was being sold to as many of the highest bidders that would pay that man to be with her. So she left her safety net thinking she can go out, find her own way, don't need to listen to her parents. And she stepped into people who were going to take advantage of her. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. You know as well?
Yeah.
Oh, and I was going to also say as well, it's like a lot of reason why people will go down that route as well. Even the people nowadays, it's like it was an easier route. For example, rather than waiting, like, for example, Jacob, during the time of Moses, rather than waiting because they were impatient, they went for the easier route to go and make something to have immediately. You have people nowadays as well, when it comes to money, they'll look for the easiest routes to get it or easiest ways to live life, and it can also be the wrong thing as well. They set themselves up as to how they get put in those bad situations. So it goes with what you're saying as well about the girl leaving home. Maybe she wanted to do things on her own. She might have found it easier on her own. Then it turns out it wasn't. It ended up being harder.
Exactly, because maybe, as you said, there might have been too many restrictions at home, too many rules, too many things I can and cannot do. And then again, you know, people think they're grown, so they want to go out and make their own money. As you said, people want to make quick money now. They don't want to work for £8, £10 an hour. You know, they know that they can go on the street and get things quicker and potentially easier than going to work a 9 to 5. So that's the route that they choose, right? And that's it. We are, I think, as a people, we are also trained from birth to make sure that when you get old enough, you can provide. And provide means make sure you have money, right? Like you need money to provide. Make sure you can pay for stuff. You need to have money. So you're trained to think about money. Also to the extent where you think the amount of money you have makes you who you are. If you have a lot of money, you're successful, you're great. If you don't have enough money, then you're lazy, you're not doing enough in life. That's the mindset that is given from young. You know what I'm saying? What are your thoughts on that?
I've gotten.
Jerusha, what do you think?
In regards to like the children of Jacob and etc., I think it's like we as well, the children of Jacob, like back in the days where there was Moses, etc., they were very fast and didn't really. God is right and he did everything for you. Yet, the children of Israel wanted to make a golden calf. They wanted to dance and praise around it, and I think that's something that we see in this generation nowadays. That people just want to, as we said, make money very quickly. They want to find the easier route, but they don't want to see what is right in front of them and where our blessings are really coming from, which leads us to be cursed. And for example, that's why we sold and traded, or where we were sold and traded. That's why we're not as valued, because the God of Israel was on our side and has always been on our side, but yet we find it very hard to acknowledge it or actually take our time to want to learn and understand about what we really need to understand. So I do really think that that's one of the reasons why we're too quick in the way we want to get things done, and we don't really want to take our time.
Yeah, so we didn't keep that trust in our God really and be patient to understand why we were being instructed the way we were instructed. We didn't realize he was protecting us and blessing us. We just want to go and do our own thing. Preacher Cardi is going to say something.
Yeah, it's nice to hear that as well, because obviously it's good that the young ones could actually recognize that, and even what you said was valued that at the time they wanted something good. It's like you don't. There's a Psalms are saying that your ears is not satisfied with seeing, and your ears is not satisfied with hearing, and it's like you see somebody else, like the other nations. Like this is what happened in the scriptures. Like they see other nations have these things. Like when you look at the land of Canaan, when you look at when in Deuteronomy 7, when the God of Israel said, "Don't take over the land," but this is the land what He promised unto our forefathers from before, and He's saying that it's filled with milk and honey. These are great nations. You had all the Jebusites, the Hittites, the Girgashites, the Amorites. There were 7 great nations that He was mentioned in Deuteronomy 7. There was great nations, but they was before, like when we were saying about what He promised unto our forefathers and what He would give them and the land. And He said to go and take it over from them. And places what you didn't even dig, you didn't even put up a house. You didn't even plant a vineyard. You didn't do nothing. Nothing. It was a wealthy, healthy land. And they had everything.
Yeah.
And the God of Israel said, go and take it over from them. They had everything. Because obviously the children of Israel, they didn't had much. But you know what? They had a lot of treasure. But the God of Israel knows we always want something. And he tries to please us and He gives us what we want. But He wants us to live good also. He wants us to live nice. But He just don't want us to forget Him.
That's
and
it.
we're so rational looking for other things, and we've got it right in front of us. We've even got more. But the God who is going to satisfy you, He said, what, I'll give you this. Because I know I want my people to live good anyway, whilst they're serving me. And I know the riches is by the blessings I've given them, but I want them to live good. I'm going to give them, watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to let you take over the land. What these people, I don't even cater for them. I don't cater for them. but I let them do the work. So my people don't even have to sweat and even work. How about that?
Right.
And I'm going to give you their land, flying with milk and honey.
Yeah.
And they have everything there. Just smash up all their altars and their graven images and all that. Take what they've got.
You've got such a good point. It's such a good point. And I think what we need to recognize from what Preacher Ricardo has said is the God of Israel not only was going to provide for us, but he was going to make it very easy for us. All of this working hard, slogging away, trying to pull a few pounds together. He was just going to provide it for us. As he said, go and take the land. Okay? Free. Just take it. All you have to do is live according to the laws that I put in place, because even those laws were there to protect you, to guide you. But let's look at the generations, guys. Let's look at how things are today. As a mother, I work hard to provide so that my children don't have to work as hard as me, so that maybe they can later on inherit what me and their dad have worked hard to achieve. So let's say an asset, like let's say a house, they can go and have a house that no longer requires a mortgage on it, right? So we'll work hard in this generation. But sometimes when we're given things freely and we didn't have to work for them, do we value these things? And do we show our parents the respect that they require or should be given because they've worked so hard to make sure that your life is easier than theirs? Because this is exactly what the God of Israel did for us, or his plan was for us, was to provide for us, give us everything, make it easy for us. What are your thoughts on that?
I personally think when something is given right in front of you and it's right there, you don't really see the value of it because that's the way it is for you. That's the way you've always seen it to be. That's your life. So whether or not, I feel like people forget to be grateful, and although they actually might be grateful, sometimes that cannot be seen because they're used to it, you're used to it. So it's just very normal. So I think with regards to that, it's not that people are like, I think they do take it for granted, but I don't really think it's in a way that is meant to be in that way. Like they do care, but because they're so used to it being how it is, yeah, they don't look like, oh my gosh, that's special. Oh my gosh, like that's so great because it's already been given to them on the plate.
Yeah. Josiah.
Well, no, I hear what you're saying. It's like because everything's out there already, they're probably expecting it to happen. So therefore, they're gonna go out of the way and do other things because at the back of the head they're thinking, oh, that's coming already. I don't really need to do anything else because it's already there. For example, like following those statutes and commandments. Back in the day, they're probably a lot of the children or children of Jacob probably thinking, oh, we have these stuff happening to us for not like they're not really doing much for it. So they're thinking they don't have to keep up the works that they need to do in order to get, because they're taking it for granted because it's coming so easy. Therefore, they go out their way to do other things. Same way for like, let's say children, you'd say like people call that spoiled children, I guess. You call them spoiled due to the fact that because they have everything and they don't appreciate what they have, they will act out in a certain way because they don't see the value in it. So I guess it goes hand in hand with that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think oftentimes, so are we saying then that, sometimes maybe we need to take away, sometimes maybe we shouldn't give so quickly because we might create a generation of people who don't appreciate things and then don't value them and then go against all the rules, because with the God of Israel, it was about the fact we went against the rules, that we fell into slavery. We fell into the hands of others because we had everything. We took it for granted,
Yeah, and then the thing is, once you lose that as well, then you become desperate and you want to go out your way to get it back or get something of similar meaning back as to how you have, let's say, people nowadays will go resorting to doing certain things to get money, like let's say drugs or whatever like that. It just because it's easier and they want to go back to how, let's say, whatever they used to have. Some people might have had it hard in the first place, but some people had it well and they still do that because they're not used to not getting it easy, you know what I mean? So they look for the easiest routes. Same way for the Israelites or back then they went to build a car because it was so easy. It was right there in front of them. Like, so yeah.
Excellent.
I think that it might also not due to upbringing, but like the way you're raised. So me personally, I'm raised in a way. Yes, I'm very fortunate in everything that I have, but I'm also taught that this doesn't come for free. So that if I want more, I have to work for it. So I think it also has to do with what you're taught, because I don't think that everybody is ungrateful. I think it is seen that it can be acknowledged, but I just feel like it's what you're learned. Like if you're learned to just receive and not have to work for it, without the understanding that this didn't come for free, then I feel like then that's understandable.
True.
Before we move on, sorry, and relate back to scriptures, what are your thoughts? Being a dad, being someone who's had to work really hard to achieve the things that you have. What do you think about the value of the things that you've gained in your life?
I mean, where I see is that, like when you look at King Solomon in the book of Ecclesiastes, when he said that he's worked everything and to pass it to a next man, what didn't do nothing. And then when you get that, you never value it because you didn't work for it. You don't even know what the value of it is. So in the days like where I might work and do a lot of work and thinking, wow, man, I'm going to work and I'm just going to pass it on to you. You ain't done nothing. You ain't going to value it. That will be lost. It's quick. So it took me 20 years to build up my empire, and it took you one day to lose it because there was no value there. There was no kind of, you didn't even try to invest in it, like to see what it was about so you could keep it. And this is what the world is today. Like you see a lot of these youngsters, they don't want to work for nothing. There's no drive. There's just, you know what? I want it now. And this is what the media does. So you see these guys on the TV, these rap artists, these movie stars and everything, like they'll come out with the latest trainers or shoes or whatever, or latest phone or whatever. And you're thinking, oh, wow, look at that. I want to get it. Now, you ain't got no job. You ain't got no kind of means to getting it. What are you going to go and do to get it? As I said, you're going to maybe find the fastest way to get that. I want to get those shoes. So the fastest way, okay, let me just start sending some drugs. Someone bring something, and then afterwards they would introduce you to some drugs. The next thing you're gonna think, oh wow, let me go and do this quickly because then that's just quick, easy money. Or let me go rob the bank, or let me go steal, let me go and do something where it's just quick and easy, but then I forgot about the consequence, what happens after that. And then you find a lot of them in prison, and they don't even know why.
Yeah.
They don't even know why they're in there.
And you're in a circle, right? It's just a bad circle now. You just found yourself.
You just said something very good as well, is that, to know the value, to see what you're working for. So when you're working, nothing doesn't come for free. Everything has a price. Yeah. And it might not be the physical money you see, but it might be another payment or some other way. But it is payment.
And you're right, yeah. So what you get from the streets, it comes from a price. It's not free, okay? But even with parents, just natural law, if I'm raising children and I'm providing everything, that still comes with a price because I'm expecting respect, I'm expecting consideration, I'm expecting that my child listens when I ask them to do something. The only thing that is good about that is that as the mother or as the parent, it's coming from a good place. When I put in a rule, it's coming from a place of protection. You know what I'm saying? It's coming from a good place where God, I want to protect you, okay? But if you're providing for anyone who's ungrateful, disrespectful, rude, you're working hard, it's like, oh, no. You're not going to get anything if this is how you're going to treat. And if you think outside is better, go and you'll see how they treat you outside because they don't love you like I do. And that's a similar story, bringing it back to the scriptures of the relationship that the children of Israel have with the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And in those days, in that terminology, you would have been given a blessing or a curse. We do it today. I can say good things to my child, or I can, as they say, they cuss you, right? It's the same word, cuss is to curse. Don't make me cuss bad word. That's what Jamaicans say. Don't upset me. Don't let the wrong thing come out of my mouth. So the blessing and the curse. If we go to Deuteronomy 28, and maybe if we just go from what should we say? Verse 64. And does somebody want to read Deuteronomy 28 from verse 64?
I don't mind reading through.
Yep. So Deuteronomy 28 verse 64 says, "And the Lord shall scatter thee." Got it?
And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from the one of the earth even unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, either wood and stone. And among these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest. But the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart, and failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind. And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shalt have none assurance of thy life. In the morning thou shalt say, Would God it were even, and at even thou shalt say, Would God it were morning. For the fear of thine heart wherewith thou shalt fear, and for the sight of thine eyes which thou shalt see. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships by the way whereof I speak unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
Thank you. You know, that is such an important scripture for Israelites to remember, okay? Because we disobeyed our God. We thought stepping out of his home and his house would do us better. But what happened is, instead of accepting his love and all of the blessings and all of the provision that the God of Israel would have given us for free, we took it for granted. We stepped out of his house, and then another nation took us on, okay? To the extent that we call them master, okay? Another nation, we were sold as bondmen, slaves, and bondwomen. Now we're talking about the love of money being the root to all evil. British history, if you look at British history and we think about the slave trade, and as much as they say there was no slavery in Britain, okay, we know that the British Empire colonized much of the world and South America, such as the Caribbean. And we know that there were slaves there. And we also know that we made millions and millions and millions for the British Empire and the European Empire and so many other empires by free labor. They owned us, okay? They owned us, and we were traded for, I think we were traded for, what were we traded for? Was it guns and alcohol and drink? What were we traded for? We were traded for like stuff like guns, alcohol, weapons, alcohol, other things, okay, with Western Africa, right? It was traded. And so they had human cattle where they made billions or millions, okay? And there is the British Empire today in the Western Hemisphere, okay? Because of free labor, free slave trade labor, okay? That is how they made money. So when you talk about the love of money being the root to all evil, what extent will human beings go to make money? The extent, yeah.
So, I mean, as you see, like in this day and age now, I mean, even at the slavery then, even now, it's a lot of stuff that goes on where you got the human trafficking, you got the drugs, you got hitmen, you have prostitution, there's so many different ways to get that money, and it's all done for money. Doesn't matter what it is, it's all done for money. And fine, like you can work. I just say, look, you know, in this world today, they need crime to make it go on. Because without the crime, people ain't gonna get paid. A lot of jobs are based around crime.
Yeah.
If you see it, right? So when you look at it, it's that they would think, okay, let me do this job here, but it's the fastest way to make money. So anytime you go and get a job, you're not gonna go and do a job and think, oh well, you know, I'll make money easy, thing like that. And you've got the charity workers, but even they get paid. Everyone's gonna get paid. You know, everyone gets paid, but some people want it more. They live to make money because they want the nice goods, they want the nice cars and the houses and all them stuff. But it's mainly when you look at it, they mainly just want goods. They want to look good.
Yeah.
They don't really think of nothing. When you're thinking, is it really life that you have? Well, what is it really?
Right.
I mean, huh?
No, you're absolutely, yes, shall I say, you're absolutely right. In relation to the illicit businesses that go to that extent to make money. If you look at the facts and you think about what the Western atmosphere people, Western people, how did we, the countries that we live in, actually make money? How are we selling teas? Are we selling sugars? Are we selling water? What are we selling?
But it's so funny. It's like they've gone over to these countries to give them stuff, what they already have. They're more richer than the other countries anyway, but they just didn't know it. They're sitting on the land. Look at all today. Look at Ghana. Look at Nigeria. Look at those places.
Yeah.
People's running over there and they go, oh, there, look at Ghana now. Now they say you don't need visa. Why? Because they know there's all gold there and the oil there. They're just sitting on the money. It's there in your own place, in your own yard. But you're going out there elsewhere to do foolishness to get it.
So what they've cleverly done is they've created this concept of fear, terrorism. We need to protect our countries. So what do they sell you? Now, if you look at the US, okay, the US, the firearm industry, they make firearms, and the industry is worth $28 billion. $28 billion. So they need to sell those guns. They need to sell those weaponaries. So what they do is they say, guys, they cause discord and problems in each country and say, you need to weaponize yourself because you need to protect yourself. Okay, you need to protect yourself, so you need to buy our guns. This is business. Buy our guns, protect yourself. You're not safe in your own homes. They create terror, and then that's how they're making their money. 28 billion is how much it's worth, okay, in that country, for example. I mean, those things you can Google. Let's bring it back to us, and let's bring it back to our people. As we said, we were traded as human cattle, right? So let's look at the 13th Amendment. And I talk about the UK and I talk about America and South America in the same light, because as much as we're across this transatlantic ocean, we're a people of diaspora, our people are scattered. We are still of the same people. We are still of Jacob, from Jacob, and we're the Israelites that have come out of Jacob. So our people are scattered across the world. Okay, so when you hear me talking about the US, you hear me talking about the UK, it's because the same things happen to our people. So if you can pull up, producer, the 13th Amendment, and if we can look at the 13th Amendment. So this is talking about the abolition of slavery, okay? So the 13th Amendment, basically, the 13th Amendment, you can find this on Wikipedia, to the United States Constitution abolished slavery and involuntary servitude, except as punishment for a crime. Let me tell you again. The 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution abolished slavery and involuntary servitude, except as punishment for a crime. Thank you, producer. So you are not allowed to be treated as a slave unless you have committed a crime. If you have committed a crime and they can put you into prison, then you are a slave once again. What are your thoughts about that?
I think it's crazy. Like, well, for one, I find it funny how the way we get into prison in the first place. Like you have, for example, I know some friends who went into doing like fraud and drug and all that type of stuff. It's like we're sacrificing our own freedom for money, even when freedom was the thing that we fought for in the first place. And now we're just freely giving our way to go back into that same situation. And the fact that they're saying once inside prison you can be treated as a slave, it's a very big thing when you look at it. Like, and look at the amount of numbers of people that you have inside prisons as well. Like you have a lot of colored people like doing, or even all over the internet, we're all displayed as the number one in certain areas as for crime rates and these certain type of things or reasons to being in prison is always laid back to us. So now talking about slaves as well, you have a lot of our people in there that are being treated as slaves from what we just read.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's talk about the UK. If you think about the number of black people in prison, especially our black men, if you think about the way in which you are going to be treated by the police for a minor crime compared to your white counterpart, it's disproportionate. We know that. We know that our people are in the prisons. Okay. That is exactly the same as what's happening in America. Once they have you in that system, they can control you. I know for a fact that you have to work in prison in the UK. They can give you work to do. I've spoken to somebody in prison while they were in prison, and literally you're working for pennies. Yeah,
it makes sense because they're benefiting from it as well. Because they're benefiting from cheaper services because we're literally slaves. So they get work out of us for like cheaper. It's a lot easier for them to work with us. So,
okay, so in England, let me give you a fact. Private contracts for inmates in England is worth 467 million in the UK taxpayer money and 7.4 billion in the US. So remember, the UK is much smaller than the US, but in the UK, the contracts they get are worth 467 million. So I know how it works because I work in health and social care. Each person, even though it's a different thingy, but each person is worth, for each person you get money, and for the longer sentences you get money. Okay. Now, prisons, a lot of prisons have already been privatized. So that means it's somebody's business. That's how somebody's eating. That's how somebody's living in a 10-acre land and living in a mansion. The more people they have in prison serving longer sentences, they're making money. In the UK, you and me are paying for that. Okay. In America, as I said, it is worth 7.4 billion. Now we know that our people are in the prisons. We know it's black men and women who are in prisons.
Yeah.
So therefore, we're still locked into that slave system, right?
Yeah. And I feel like going back to like the 13th Amendment and everything that we saw, like except from if you're, you've committed a crime, like us black counterparts or us people of color, we're targeted more on the street on a daily basis. Like that's where they want us to go back. They want us to be incarcerated again. So that they can use us to benefit them, because of course people are making money from us being incarcerated, and we're targeted the most. We're 8 times more likely to be stopped and searched, and from where you're stopped and searched, that obviously they want to catch you out. They want to see you slip. They see you slip. And I feel like even as a black counterpart, you'll see that you might do the smallest of crimes, but you'll get sentenced the same as one of your white counterparts who did a much bigger crime. Like I think we were talking about it earlier, Desire, to do with Tory Lanez, how he's getting 20 years. But to say I'm not saying that it's not a serious thing, but he only shot her and her foot. He's now going to hold 20 years sentence, which is quite, because a person can kill somebody and still only hold 20 years.
Yeah, who's that person you're talking about again, Jerusha? What's his name?
Tory Lanez. Because I think you have more details on it.
Yeah. On top of that as well, like with that same thing, it's like if you look at there's a lot of things that was weird about it. He was found guilty on all accounts, but hardly any evidence. So the fact that it was so easy to put someone in prison for 20 years for something so small with hardly any evidence is a big thing. So like whether he was guilty or not, what they had on him didn't it wasn't equal to what he got. So it just goes to show that how easy and how determined they are to even get us into that system anyways.
And use it against each other as well. It's a very sad situation that with Megan Thee Stallion and Tory Lanez, because they were tight. That was a couple, both artists who are in the music industry and talented, right? They were tight. Yes, they had a fallout. They had an argument. What he did was unacceptable, inappropriate. Who uses a gun to shoot at a woman's toe or her feet? That's ridiculous, right? We know that. But we also know he didn't shoot to kill. We also know it was at her feet. 20 years is disproportionate. And then we have the rumors that are going around that tell us the real reason is because he was unwilling to really sign up with some of these labels. So she may have signed up with some of these music labels. He wanted to be independent and do it his way. And therefore now when it comes to him making a stupid decision as he did to use a firearm in that way, you've got everyone against him because he wants to be independent and do his own music, and that doesn't serve the purpose of the music industry, which we will move on to shortly, right? But yes, disproportionately put into the prison system, for using the amount of people in there for marijuana and stuff like that. It's ridiculous. The sentences are like not life sentences, but they're as big as some of these murder, robbery sentences. So we all know that, and that's everybody knows it's disproportionate. So before we go into the scripture, to talk about money and the root and really look at the scriptures, I'm still wanting to talk about our people, the Jacobites, and this prison system and the privatization. How is it that so many of us are ending up in the system, and it's the slave system? Now, I want you to know if you guys heard, and they're going to call it in the world, they call it conspiracy theories. Okay, so it's all out there. It's not what I'm saying. We're just having a conversation about it. But there is this term called slave catcher music. You guys heard about slave catcher music?
Yeah.
The idea of this slave catcher music, the theory is that certain songs, so I'll talk about our own culture, dance hall music, hip hop, that come from our people. The theory is there to develop prison-bound degenerates. So in the music, the words, the language that we're speaking, the derogatory terms, the way in which we're talking about drugs, alcohol, treating women, all of that degraded language, that gangster life, for example, is there and put there on purpose to give the young people a mindset. Because if you've always grown up listening to that music, music goes into your system, it's unconscious. And it's that derogatory type music that can also help shape your attitude and your outlook in life, right? Through the music. And it's out there on the internet that it's called slave catcher music, that people in the music industry are literally putting our music out there in that negative way on purpose to get into the minds of our youth and our people, so that we take on those personalities of being a gunman or a bad man or a bad woman, however you guys, I don't know how it's said, not to say you guys, but however it's said out there. And then you behave like that, and then you get in trouble for crime. How many rappers and stupid people for guns and stupid things? So that's your entrance into the jail cell, so they can control you. So what are your thoughts on this concept of this slave catcher music, guys?
I do
I'll put some examples up there. In fact, let's go to the producer first. Producer, let's talk about producer. What's this this artist that you like called? What's the artist called?
I don't know what was the specific song.
Yeah, I think producer, you're gonna put the lyrics on the. Can you put the lyrics up, please? Is it Skilly?
No.
What's it called?
Skeng. Or it's either skin.
Say it louder. I can't hear you.
Either skeng or skinny bang.
Oh, skeng. All right, producer, could you put that up? Okay, let's talk about it. Okay, so what does it say? Can somebody read that? These are the lyrics of this song, and it's a known song. Josiah, can you read that for us?
Yeah, I'm not gonna do the whole patois and all that though, but yeah. She loved bad man, bad man. She loved bad man. She loved bad man. Well, let me just go to the what's
Yeah.
she loved
Okay.
gangster. Yeah.
Okay. That's it. That's all we need to say. So she loved bad man. She loved bad man. Everybody knows that song, right?
Yeah.
Everybody likes that song. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Why do we like the song? You can take it off the screen now, producer. Thank you. Why do we love the song? Let's be real. Let's be honest. I want to understand. And Preacher Cardi, you like that song? She loved bad man. You're a bad man.
You know what happens is, you know what happens to this music, yeah? Until you really see the lyrics, yeah, you hear it and it's catchy. It's like, yeah, you start rocking to it. And then when you really hear the lyrics, what he's saying, you think, wait a minute, what's going on here? You know what I mean? When you're done wrapped up in there, it becomes your number one playlist.
Yeah.
It's the beat. It just sounds like what you want to hear. Like,
Right.
you don't really take in the words. Like when like my mum might come up to me and be like, Jusha, but do you know what they're saying? I'm like, yeah, but it don't matter. Like it don't like I obviously know that it's not the perfect lyrics, but it's just like it just makes me makes you feel a bit upbeat, makes you want to dance, or gives you some type of energy.
But that is the main thing.
Yeah,
that is it. What you just said there, it gives you an energy. So could you imagine? Some people listen to that, and you know what they do with that music just by listening to it. Mm-hmm. It's almost like it hypnotizes you to just go and do something because you hear the music. Mm-hmm. It's a motivation.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now that's what I was gonna say. Literally, even like there's a genre called drill music. I'm pretty sure a lot of people know about. I wouldn't say it encourages most of the youth, but I know there's a lot of youth who come from, let's say, good homes, and they listen to that type of music. They love the music. It energizes them. It gives them that sort of thing, and then they want to go now and live that lifestyle. And it gives them the same energy as well. Like even some rappers talk about the thrill they get from doing the things they do. People want to live that life and also take part of it, so they go on to do the same things as well. So yeah, that just like the energy it gives you sometimes as to why people take on that type of persona due to the music, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do think that like some songs, like depending on like say if you're a young child, it could shape your character of who you are, because you're hearing like it's so normalized. Like again, she loved gangster, then I want to be a gangster because nowadays everyone wants to be in a relationship and you wanna you wanna be the perfect role of whatever you need to be. So it can shape your character, but then I feel like if you know who you are, you're just listening to it for fun, or just listening because it, as I said, it energizes you. But it does also have its downfalls in the fact that it will really manifest on how you can act. It will make you feel like, oh, killing people, or walking around the streets like you're a bad man. It'll make you feel like, oh yeah, that's okay, that's normal. Until then, the real reality comes of it, and then you're like, oh, the police are involved. Oh, I'm now going to prison, and then you see the real consequences of what such little things of just listening to music could really do and how it can really impact you.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's why education is important, right? And always trying to be conscious, because yes, we can't go to the youth and say, oh, you shouldn't be listening. And well, some people will, but the music is out there. What we need to do is educate and remind each other what is really being said through that music. Because once you have a level of consciousness, it's not going to hypnotize you in the same way that it could somewhat hypnotize you if you're not paying attention to what is really being said, or really you're not really looking at the bigger picture, right? So it's not about you can't listen to certain music now, and you should be aware of what's going on, be aware of what that temptation is, be aware that that is all set up so that you can fall into their hands, because quote unquote slave catcher music, you know.
Yeah, it links to the slave catcher music, as you see that a lot of white, like, is the big companies, the white companies, the ones that produce all the music, and this is the type of music they will encourage and put out. If you hear a black person singing about something that's joyful, something that's very uplifting, that's not something that will be promoted. But where you start hearing about guns and everything, because that's how they see us, that's how they see our culture, and they want us to feel as if we should be downgraded and that's who we were. So I feel like that's the slave catcher of it.
Yeah, you know what's funny about that? What you just said as well. The artists that usually do end up resorting or speaking about the positive things, at first they started speaking about the things that the target, that the audience, that the people wanted them to reach. For example, let's say Stormzy used to do grime and a lot of that type of music, and then now you hear a lot of his songs like gospelized, like speaking about God out of nowhere. But at first, that's what he wasn't about that, isn't it? So I guess when it comes to making money, they will go for what the target is, like the easiest target to reach, if you know what I mean, for the audience. So it will be that type of like hard gram or hard drill or something energizing that people are gonna dance and stuff, and then afterwards they go to do what they want to do.
Yeah, and although they don't really, like, that's not what they really wanted to promote. As we said, people want to make money fast. So if they want to make money fast, they have to do what they have to do to get to where they want to get to. And then once they've now their place is secured and they feel comfortable, maybe the trueness behind them or what their values really are will come out. But you have to hear all the negativity before they can reach that stage, because they want to make their money fast. They want to get to where they want to get to. Maybe it's just about playing the game.
Yeah, and I would also question, to add to what you're saying, and to what you're saying, Josiah. You know, you're saying Stormzy weren't about that, and now he's talking about this gospel music and God. As Israelites, what would our first question be?
What God?
Exactly that. We're saying, well, what God? Like, let's be clear. And that's the goodness of our knowledge, what we've been given in our nation by Elder Shadrach and his teachings. Question what God? Because again, they have their gods. They have their gods behind this music industry, behind this whole thing. They pay homage to who they're paying homage to. It's not the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, you know. So what God?
So technically, they're still doing the same thing.
Same thing.
You're still wrapped in the same, crap, really,
So to factualize what's being said then as well, so to factualize it, so it's not just us speaking from our own terms, if the producer could bring up the article from the Daily Mail, and let's go to Jamaica. Let's think about Jamaica and our people. I like to talk about Jamaica because my parents are from Jamaica. So producer, could you bring up the Daily Mail, please? Because right now, well, not right now, it says here, Jamaica bans music and TV broadcasts which glorify criminal activity, violence, drug use, or guns. And the reason that Jamaica have done this, and they've done it a while ago, is because they're saying that the effects of the dance hall genre on adolescents' sexual and violent behavior in Jamaica, they now or have already seen it as a public health concern. They've declared it as a public health concern. Thank you, producer. You can take that off the screen. So we don't get taught that. You know, you'd have to research that. But it's a public health concern in Jamaica. You cannot get on a bus or any public transport where they're going to be playing dancehall music that glorify any of that behavior. Okay. Now, I want to ask you guys what you think about that, because there is a debate from some artists that music artistry is supposed to represent real life. And we know in Jamaica, there is a lot of poverty. A lot of people are struggling. It's not all these fancy resorts. They're literally struggling over there and in poverty. And they're saying, well, our music needs to represent the real life. So what do you guys think? Do you think they should be allowed to listen to this music in Jamaica or not?
Well, I think if there's serious health concerns, then it's completely understandable why they would ban the music. But then going off the idea that, as you said, there's very poor parts of the country. This is how people are really living. It's not something that
when they say public health concern, they're talking about the attitudes of the people now. They're not talking about a physical thing. They're talking about the mentality of their people is becoming corrupted because of what the music is saying. So it's a public health concern. So they're looking at the mindset of their people and how it's impacting the young people, because crime is going up. So, but they're saying, but the artists are saying, yeah, but we need to show that this is how Jamaica is. There's so much crime here. So why are you hiding it from everybody? But they're saying, no, we're not playing it because it's getting into your lot's head. Yeah, so what are your thoughts?
Unless Jerusalem to say something before.
No, you can go.
It's like a cycle in a way, because when you think about it, if the music that they're putting out that they want to ban is that type of music, but they're saying this is the life we live, but the life you are living that you're rapping about is promoting other people to want to live that sort of life as well. So you have you have the poor people. Yeah, it's just gonna keep going over and over, because then you're gonna have the other, let's say, poor people listening to that music thinking this is what we live, so they want to start doing it as well and talking about it because they know that's how they get out. And then everyone's just gonna be taking that leaf from that same book or the page from the same book and doing the same thing. So it's a bit. Go
on, Joshua.
It's like we lost the battle because we've done exactly what they wanted us to do. Have that mindset that this is us, this is how we live, this is how our life is, when this isn't how their life is meant to be. Like, it can be prosperous, it can be valued, but because they have this engraved mindset that this is where we come from, this is our roots, that's their mindset, where they shouldn't be, because they're worth so much more than that.
Yeah. So it's a vicious cycle. Again, let's put it this way, and we'll talk about this so-called secret letter in the music industry. But that kind of music sells. Derogatory music sells. You're living in poverty, like shacks, like not always got running water. I'm not saying all parts of Jamaica are like that, but too much of a part of Jamaica, I'm just using Jamaica as an example, is like that, right? No running water. You can't have shoes on your foot. The only way to make it out is to make music. But the only music that sells is this derogatory music. So you're gonna play up to this derogatory gangster character. You're gonna, if you're a woman, you're gonna use all of what you've got physically to, to be what they think what's going to sell. It's all about what sells. So again, you're in this cycle. So the victims, because they're in poverty, but you can't go and sing conscious music and be as successful as quickly. Yes, there are conscious artists in Jamaica. Yes, Bob Marley was a great one. Okay, we know that. But at today's generation, today's times, it's not selling.
Yeah.
Do you see that?
Yeah. It's true, because you know what? As much as they're even making it, they're living that life too. It's not like to say they're making the music, selling the music, and they're going home and just chilling out and think, oh yeah, I'm not gonna. No, they're smoking the weed too. They're doing all the madness what they're talking about, and they're promoting it. And then after, if you're not doing it, they'll look at you like to say, oh yeah, you're not. You know what I mean? Because you're not living that life. So obviously, it is a promotion.
Yeah,
it's something that puts you out there.
And to get out of now is hard.
But then going back to the topic is that it's all done for what? It's all done for money. It's not done for the fame, because the fame brings the money. You can do it for money. Would you do all of that still and know you're not going to get paid? You probably won't. You want to find something else to do because you want to get paid. You know what I mean? You got all these big people say, "Oh yeah, they don't worry about nothing." Yeah, you got money in your pocket. If you didn't have it, like it says it in the scriptures, would you give up everything and lay all your treasures in heaven? You know, it was said that, but he went away upset and grieving because like, oh man, I got to give away everything. But then when you go, you're not going to have nothing anyway.
Exactly, we're going to get to that.
The only thing you're going to have is that treasure, what you kept with the God of Israel, that what you kept there, that's going to be secured. But what you got here is gone. It's gone, I think, you ain't taking nothing with you. So it's good to give it up now rather than later, and then at least you got something later rather than, nothing.
Yeah.
And you're right. We're going to go into the scriptures, but I want to home in the point, the setup. It's a setup. I don't watch music videos. I really don't. And I took the conscious effort to watch some dance hall videos, and I literally was disturbed. I watched videos of gangsters lining up men, had guns in their hand, shooting them, and blood dropping. I was like, how come we're allowed to have videos like this? I didn't know. I'm ignorant. I can't believe that the videos are so explicit like that of killing each other. I couldn't believe it. So I went and did more research. This is before. And I thought, oh, wow, I didn't even know that guns were legal in Jamaica or the Caribbean. No, it's not just Jamaica. I'm thinking, guns are legal. So you're telling me in this poor place with people who don't have money, don't have power, don't have nothing, and they're allowed to get a gun. Because as much as you say, oh, well, it has to be a legal gun, you're giving room for the industry that is, what do you call it, the black market. There's always the black market, so guns are coming in illegally. People are getting guns illegally, right? And if you look at the statistics to see how many people carry a gun in Jamaica, so this is their real life. The little child on the street corner is holding a gun. And that's their protection. And that is their real life. Why is America or any officials allowing a country in such poverty to have access to guns in this way?
Because crime pays.
Because crime pays. It's a business. Again, guys.
It's a big business.
It's a massive business. That's why you've allowed it. And they did have presidents such as, if I look here, in 1962, Jamaica gun rate was the lowest. And now Jamaica is one of the most armed countries. Guyana, same way. And you had a politician, Michael Manley, apparently, that really tried to get rid of all the guns and all of that. But why aren't you being able to? Why? Because it's a political issue. This is not the people. The people are being used. So through music, they've got real access to guns, children. So what they're going to do, they're going to see someone and stick him up and say, give me some money, I'm hungry. They're going to use a gun. I'm hungry. Give me your money. Crime pays, drugs. It's a setup, guys. So when we talk about slave capture music, this is all a setup because the people behind the music industry, they're making money. The people behind the weapons, they're making billions. And our people are being used as pawns. Some people will say this is conspiracy theory. Is it conspiracy theory or is it the truth? What are your thoughts before we jump into the scriptures?
I definitely think
it's not conspiracy, it's the truth. I mean, you see it like, you say in music, but even in the film industry, it's still the same promotion because they're acting it out and then they go and see it. Like back in the, see all those, like, look at that film, New Jersey Drive. I don't know if everyone saw that. It's quite an old one. And it's like you always hear in America about the drive-by shooting and the poking out. And then next minute you start witnessing it here. Like, but where did they get it from? They've got the style from the movies. Like, oh, wow, yeah. Start pointing the gun out the window, black tinted windows, and start spraying everywhere. Like, it's learned behavior. You know what I mean?
Becoming a culture.
It's all learned stuff. It's, you watch it, you see it there, you want to act it out, and you want to carry on like that. With a bit of music and a bit of, vision, then, you're good to go. You know what I mean? You carry out the same thing. What do you say?
And so they paint some people in a very bad light, like just makes us look bad following all that type of stuff. Even in music industry as well. I remember there was one thing going around like a few years back. There was a video trending of some girl, like she was like, there's something called rap capping where you rap a line to reach like certain people as well. But it also made like, there's some artists that do it now, but she must have said she eats cocoa pots with tap water in a video. That doesn't even make any sense because like any unfortunate person can buy milk. Like it's not, but for you to be able to buy a cocoa pots and water, it doesn't make any sense. But you have people like that saying silly things just to make ourselves get up there. like just little things. We're making ourselves look like we're dumbing ourselves down
To
get
make them look
ourselves
like
up.
they're cool. Because being rich is cool or having. Okay. Am I getting it? Am I
No,
getting it? Am I understanding what you're saying?
Wait,
No, I'm
say
saying so they're playing, and they play like for her to make a comment like that. Was that her like trying to play like she has less than what she has just to look in with the crowd almost?
Yeah, like that. Yeah, some of our people, like some people do that type of stuff just to fit in and get up there just for money. Like,
yeah. Because it's the culture now. It looks cool, is it? Right? It looks like what's it? Okay, cool. All right. So before we kind of end this segment, I would tell people to refer on the internet where it talks about the secret meeting that changed rap music. So everything that we've said, again, they're going to say it's conspiracy theory. That's for you to make your decisions. But there is an artist that came out and said that the secret meeting that changed rap music, and this highlights when the music that was made by our people became derogatory. So there was a time where the music was much more conscious, much more, positive. And then all of a sudden you can see how the artists that are making it are the ones that are speaking derogatory and really talking about killing each other, taking drugs, all of this violent behavior. They're the artists that are making it. So they're saying there was a secret meeting that took place that said they will only promote artists that do this because they haven't gotten the music industry now has investors who own prisons. So the investors in the music industry, they own the prisons. So they're creating this culture and using the artists as a pawn to make this culture so that we listen to that music. It gets into our head. Our young people listen to that music. They go out and do stupid things. They put us in prisons, slave catcher music, and we're back into that cycle again. Okay? So that's it. We've spoken a lot about that. Now we need to jump into the scriptures because obviously this wasn't what was supposed to be for us. You said that earlier, Jerusha. You said, we are so much more and we were supposed to have so much more than what we have, and we were supposed to value ourselves so much more. And to the God of Israel, there's just some things that money can't buy. There's certain things that you do and you're not supposed to get paid. And let me start. Let's talk about the Israelite nation and the information that we share so freely. Elder Shadrach, who brought about this doctrine so that we would understand who we are, our identity, we'd know how to worship our one true and living God. He cannot be paid with money to teach us. That is against our law, our policy, anything. Like we could not pay him with money. That would be the God of Israel. That would not be acceptable. Do you see what I mean? So there's certain things spiritually, principles that as teachers of the Israelite nation, you don't get paid. So even when you pay your tithes, it's going so that we can pay for a building to worship in, so that we can have our feasts and eat our food and worship our God, but it's not paying anybody. Do you see what I mean? There's things that money should just not buy. Do you understand how we are different as a people, and we need to have a different outlook because we have a different understanding? Chris Ricardo, you was given a scripture earlier. Which scripture was it that more or less says the same thing?
I was gonna go somewhere first, but
no, go for it. Go into the scriptures.
But now you said that with you're talking about getting paid for money, which it brings you to the story of Naaman. I don't know. Do you want to read it, Jada? It's in First Kings 5, and it would okay. So you can read it, and then we'll go from there because it's pretty much saying the same thing. But if you read it from read from 15.
Is it First Kings 5? You said.
First Kings chapter 5, that's 15.
Second Kings. Sorry, Second Kings. Kings.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So 2 Kings 5:15. Yeah. Have you got it? I'll start reading it and then you can take over. And he returned to the man of God. he and all his company, and came and stood before him. And he said, Behold, now I know that there is no God in all the earth but in Israel. Now therefore I pray thee, take a blessing of thy servant. But he said, As the Lord liveth, before whom I stand, I will receive none. And he urged him to take it, but he refused.
Okay, could I just with that, I just wanted to say, so before that, the story is that Naaman went to go to Elijah, and the servant said that, you know, he's a man of God, and you're going there to be cured of this. And he sent him to the River Jordan, and he said, oh, there's much better rivers and stuff like that. And he said, why don't you just, you've gone there to get help, so why don't you just listen to what he says and be cured, you know? And then, so when he did actually listen, which he was upset that he had to go that way, because he thought Elijah was going to come out and address him and, oh, wow, you know, strike down and everywhere and make a big scene, as some of you guys do out there, right? So, but he just was simple, just sent back the message, go tell him to go and dip himself in the water, and then he'll become clean. So I just wanted to give that bit where he said, now, what Minister Sharman said, that we don't get paid to do this. So we can't be looking at the love of money for us to say that, oh yeah, like some other people out there who say they're serving the true and living God, they'll take your money and they got nice houses, nice cars, and it's done from your money. The money is not come from us. Like, we won't use the money to do that. We build up a house for the God of Abraham, Isaac, for us. So it goes back into the nation. This is where 10% goes. It doesn't go in our pockets. It doesn't go in our pockets. And it says there, he said, you know, where you just read, but he doesn't want to take nothing. He refused to take anything.
Mm-hmm. So he healed him. So what you're saying, Preacher Prado, the scripture said that he healed him. He got healed.
He healed him.
Him money, but he
of
says,
no cost.
Lord liveth, I will not take your money for healing you.
And let that be a lesson to all you people out there about sending your prayers in and no answer, but send the fee also to pay. You know what I mean? For those who say, oh, they're healing, and come, let me heal you, and they put your hand on you, that healing is going to cost you a good couple of thousand. You know what I mean? And then some of you want to go to heaven where you cannot go, and then that is another cost again. So these pastors and these people out there, they're becoming rich, man, over lie.
Lies.
Just saying that. So I just want to make that clear.
Yeah.
On top of that as well, when you're taking money for that type of thing, that's like saying you've done the work. Like,
that's it.
It's like you're claiming, you're basically claiming to be God by taking money for what you haven't done. You've just been given instructions to give to that person for what to do. So it's really coming from the God of Israel. But yeah, by taking the money or by taking anything that involves some sort of riches or talents, then it's basically saying that you've done what was done.
Yeah, you're taking the glory of God. You're trying to claim the glory of God, and that's
it's like when they see Moses part the Red Sea and he has to stick there. Even though the sea, the man do that, well, it's the God of Israel part of the sea. You know what I mean? You weren't Moses. You know what I mean? He's just the man what you saw in front.
Because when Moses hit the rock or stroked the rock, remember, and he didn't credit the God of Israel for that, he was punished. Because we need to know that anything we do is not of ourselves, it's our God. So God can't be paid with money, and we're just his servant. So as Shadrach is teaching us the truth, he can't take money because that's being given to him by our God, right? We can show love, we can show respect, we can, show gratitude, but we're not going to give you a salary. We're not going to pay you in that way. Yeah, in no shape, no form.
Do you want to read on from there, from 17?
I think you should jump to the time. I think you could jump onto the other scripture that you had, Lazarus and the rich man, because it's talking. Okay. It's up to you.
So let me just give it just a quick breakdown on it, because it covers two parts there. One, that we don't receive for money, and where it is, and the work is free. And two, is that Naaman was willing to pay for a service. And as say in this nation here, we don't get paid for services. It goes for us building the house. It doesn't go in our pockets. And the third point is that when Gehazi now was there and he went to receive the money, he ran after Naaman and said, oh, because Naaman offered to give, something to the servants, at least. Let me just give them something. And he said, no, you don't pay. But then Gehazi just went, oh, okay, let me chase after him, went after him. And he took 2 servants with him. He took 2 servants because he knows if he takes more people with him, he's going to get more stuff. So he took him and said, oh, yeah, just give us a little. And he gave him, and he said, oh, could you give some more for the servants and everything? Because then what happened is, Naaman was like, this guy's getting greedy now. But let me just give him. And then after he went away, and then when they went away and it was a far away, he took the stuff from the servants. Gehazi took the stuff from the servants, like I think it was the silver, the talents, the silver and that, and he took it, and then he went back to the camp, and Elijah said, "Well, where was you? What did you do?" You know what I mean? Because basically he knew what he went and done. He knew what he was after. So the moral of the story is, he took it where he shouldn't have taken it, because now it looks like Naaman for a while. I paid you for the service, because he thinks he's gone and paid Elijah anyway. But he said, he changed his mind because that was his servant. He knew that he was with you. So as far as I know, I paid, and that's why I'm healed. And that's what's going to get spreaded now. So Gehazi now ended up with the leprosy. And his generations, and all his generations after generations, is going to be ended with the leprosy because what he done. He shouldn't have taken it for his greed. So that's one point made of that. You know what? Don't be quick to run after things because you ain't meant to get paid. There's a cost, his cost was the leprosy. There you go. He paid for that.
So Jerusalem, all of that story before Preacher kind of goes on. What do you think, in your own words?
I just see it as we work, like we shouldn't work for money. Like nothing. The price of money isn't important. We do it for the reason of serving our God. And teaching and spreading the word of God. It's never meant to be a thing of you want something out of it, because then it really takes out the importance of why you're doing something. You're not doing it because you want to teach, you want to spread the word of God. You're doing it because you want it to benefit you. Financially. So financially, you're not really thinking about the big aspect of it, and then it just takes out the spirituality of it. So that's personally what I think.
And the point as well is, remember, when we serve in our God, we love our God, or we're supposed to be loving our God. So what do you love? You love the money or you love God? Like you can't do both. You can't serve God and Mammon. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you do it because you love talking about the God of Israel. You love letting people know how great our God is, not because we love to get paid. The two can't be the same. The two can't sit together.
So with that, right, I won't go into it, I'll just talk about it. So with that, what you're saying there. So you look at Job, they say he was the richest man in the East. Now, he had all these cattle and everything, but he had 7,000 oxen on she-asses, and, he had a lot of stuff. He was a great and rich man, one that feareth God. So when he was now tempted, where the God was allowed the devil to tempt him to come after him, and he whacked everything away from him. But he was doing, you got to remember, he was making sacrifice to his son just in case. But he was a rich man. So when everything got taken away from him, because the devil said, well, take everything what he's got and watch him curse you. He didn't. He took everything to the point that he couldn't get him. After even the second time he's gone after him, he said that, okay, well, you got the hedge around him again. He said, well, go after him. But last time you made me do all these things to him, like allow these things to happen for no reason. Okay, go after him again, but just don't take his life. Wow. Everything was taken. He even gave him bows. And he fell down, he rented his clothes, and he worshipped the God of Israel. Because he said, naked I come, naked shall I go. It doesn't matter about the richness. His richness, so like where you looked at it, where you said he was the richest man in the East, it weren't the goods what he had. He was talking about his riches, his treasure, what he had with the God of Israel. That was the richness. But we're going to look at all the cattle. We're going to look at all the stuff what he had. It wasn't that. His treasures was with the God of Israel. Even the God of Israel spoke about him and said, you know what, have you tried my servant Job? Because even the God of Israel looked at him thinking, wow, this is a true servant. He really fears me. And I know he ain't going to cross me. So go ahead and try him. And he came out the other end nicely. Even better than what he was before. But
I love that.
well,
I love that. I love
well,
that.
the wealth what he had, it
Yes.
didn't matter because his wealth was more with the God of Israel, and
Yeah.
that was the secret.
Yes, I love that. I really love that. The secret, as you said, I love it because you know what it does say in the scriptures. You know, the God of Israel adds on to us. He's going to provide. It's a natural thing. The blessing was supposed to be a normal thing. It's a father to a child. He's going to add on to us. But as he's adding, not but as he's adding on to us, he's adding on to us because he should be seeing the content of your heart that you know you love the God of Israel. So the riches has to. It's about your love for the God of Israel first, and then he will naturally bless you. Do you
Yep.
see what I mean? The world will not see that. As Preacher Carter said, that was a secret. Yes, we know he was the richest man in the East, but the God of Israel was able to prove his heart, his spirituality, his understanding was so much more greater than the outer appearance. And I love that.
So that's what the world sees today, Minister Swami. That everyone, they look at you by you having a nice car, a nice house, money in your pocket, nice clothes, and you look fabulous. That is wow, you are a rich man. They don't see the other part where the richness is with the God of Israel. It's all physical. It's all what you could see, but it's what you don't see is what really counts. And then you're thinking like, wow, like the God of Israel. So how does he choose man? It's from the inside, in his heart, not from the outward appearance. How we look at it, and that's how we judge it in everything, right? But I want to take you to another scripture. It's in Luke 12,
and just
13.
Preach Carter, sorry, you don't always have to be physically rich to be worshiping the God of Israel. Much of the servants of the Lord was told, don't even worry about how you're going to eat today. Don't think about what shoes you're going to wear. I'm going to provide for you, because sometimes the God of Israel is like, I need you to go and do my work. You don't need nothing. I'm going to provide for you. Don't worry. Wherever you go, you're going to get fed. You're going to get looked after. So it's not always that you have to be, physically rich, And some people choose not to be as well. And the reason they choose not to be is the temptation of the world. Sometimes when you have too much or have a lot, you start falling into temptations. So
It's true, because even the money can't even, the time of your death, it doesn't matter how much money you got. Got billionaires who still gonna just die the same way. Money ain't gonna save you. No. The time is the time. That's it. As it says, can I read the scripture?
Yeah, go for it.
It's Luke 12, 13.
Okay.
Well, it's one of you guys.
Shall I read it? Shall I read it?
Luke, you want to read it, Jusha?
Yeah, I don't mind.
Go ahead.
And one of the company said unto him, Master, speak to my brother, that he divide the inheritance with me. And he said unto him, Man, who made me a judge or a divider over you? And he said unto them, Take heed and beware of
covetousness.
For a man's life, not in the abundance of the things which he possesseth. And he spake a parable unto them, saying, The ground of the certain rich man brought forth plentifully. And he thought within himself, saying, What shall I do, because I have no room where to bestow my fruits? And he said, This will I do. I will pull down my barns and build greater, and there will I bestow all my fruits and my goods. And I will say to my soul, thou hast much goods laid up for many years. Take thine ease, eat, drink, and be merry. But God said unto them, Thou fool, this night thy soul shall be required of thee. Then whose shall things be which thou hast provided? So is he that lay up his treasure for himself, and is not rich toward God. And he said unto his disciples,
No, okay.
That was it, yeah.
Just there.
Oh, no. Yeah.
So, as you see, right, again, that just explained everything. He was even talking to himself. He must have been a proud man looking in the mirror and thinking, so, what can I be doing with all my goods now? I've got so much stuff. But he just forgot about the God of Israel. Just nothing was towards God. There's no riches there. He didn't even want to even divide his stuff with his brother, even help his own brother. Like us as Israelites here, one suffering helps the one. You know what I mean? Help him, because like just it's just got so much examples there, but there was no treasure with the God of Israel. So he said, "You fool, tonight your life is going to be required. That's it. You're done. Now, who's going to have all the stuff that you provided? Where's it all going to go? Someone's going to have it. Even your brother might have everything, not even half of it. Have everything because you're greed, and you didn't even know because you think you own your time. You really don't. So these are these lessons learned,
Good lesson.
When people get what they finally want, they've got to that final stage, they do forget where they came from or where all of that came from. So I think that's very important, because for you to forget how you got blessed and where your abundance of blessings came from, you need to remember that the God of Israel is still watching you. Like, yes, he provided, but he can also take away very quickly. So
Yeah. It's like a lesson I taught before as well, actually, that talks about when you should serve the God of Israel in good spirits and stuff as well. I believe it was Ecclesiastes 12, verse 1, where it talks about just when and how you should serve the God of Israel, so that you should remember him when you're doing good, when you're rich, and all that type of stuff as well. So this story goes with that too.
yeah, don't call upon
Yeah.
him just in time.
Ecclesiastics.
Ecclesiastes, I believe it's Ecclesiastes 12. I could double check. I'm pretty sure.
You gave the lesson. Brilliant.
Yeah.
I remember God in your youth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, really good points. So I think we are coming to the close of this.
You got
lesson.
one more.
Yeah, go for it.
Which is read Luke 16.
Yeah.
19.
Yeah.
Let's start now.
Yeah.
There was a certain rich man which was clothed in purple and fine linen and fed sumptuously every day. And there was a certain beggar named Lazarus, which was laid at his gate, full of sores, and desiring to be fed with the crumbs which fell from the rich man's table. Moreover, the dogs came and licked his sores. And it came to pass that the beggar died and was carried by the angels into Abraham's bosom. The rich man also died and was buried. And in hell he lifted up his eyes, being in torment, and seeth Abraham afar off, and Lazarus in his bosom. And he cried and said, Father Abraham, have mercy on me, and send Lazarus, that he may dip the tip of his finger in water, and cool my tongue, for I am tormented in this flame. But Abraham said, Son, remember that thou in thy lifetime receivest thy good things, and likewise Lazarus evil things. But now he is comforted, and thou art tormented. And beside all this, between us and you, there is a great gulf fixed, so that they which would pass from hence to you cannot, neither can they pass to us that will come from hence. Then he said, I pray thee therefore, Father, that thou wouldest send him to my father's house. For I have 5 brethren, that he may testify unto them, lest they also come into this place of torment. Abraham saith unto him, They have Moses and the prophets, let them hear them. And he said, Nay, Father Abraham, but if one went unto them from the dead, they will repent. And he said unto him, If they hear not Moses and the prophets, neither will they be persuaded that one rose from the dead.
Well, that's something to really look at. And as I said, it's always going back to lay up the treasures with the God of Israel. Because even with this poor man, Lazarus, he sores, even the dog was licking his sores. He had nothing, but his faith was with the God of Israel. That's why he was in Abraham's bosom. His faith was there. His trust, his belief, his riches, his treasure. He was richer than the rich man. But the rich man didn't even know it. His greed took over him. He wanted that because he thought, I'm living this life nice. I'm not saying not to live your life, but don't forget the God of Israel. That's what I'm saying. And that's what we have all been saying. And it's good that these young ones are on here so they could say it too and hear it and see it and live that life, because it's not easy that you be young and stay on this path, because a lot of young ones, they run off and doing all manner of things because there's a media out there. There's all these things to control you. It's like you have a Sabbath, and then you'd have a bashment concert. Which one you gonna choose? Ah, it's a difficult one because what's that guy's name? Skeg, whatever his name is. Well, he's gonna be there, and it's a one-time opportunity. Ah, man, you know what? Let me just go there because I go Sabbath every month. Let me just go there instead. Hey, that's your mistake. You might not come back out of there. Who knows? I don't know. I'm just saying, look, lay your treasures up with the God of Israel. Learn all you can. Come to services. Come to new moons. Come to Sabbaths. Come on YouTube. Like, this is what we're here now. We're teaching the world this about our God. Thank you for my elder Shadrach that he has taught us, so we could even teach the world that, you know what, we serve the true living God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And this is where we hold our treasures. We are all rich in this nation because we serve the true living God. Amen. And you can't buy this, but we're giving it to you for free. That's what he even said. If Moses and the prophets, you can't hear them. Why am I going to bring someone from the dead to hear it?
Yeah.
We've got a chance to know now. Don't wait until you're dead to find out. Oh man, I should have done this. I've done no. Now is the point in time. So,
well, thank you for that, guys. It's been a fantastic panel and a fantastic discussion. We are out of time, but before we do go, I do want to hear your final closing words. You probably have 10 seconds each. So, Josiah, any closing words?
Yeah, just I guess just always keep in mind that money, the way you chase, make sure when you chase money or when you go for money, make sure you're doing it for the right reasons and not following the wrong path, and always keep the God of Israel in mind with whatever you're doing.
Yeah, thank you. Jerusha.
My message would be like, if you are receiving goods and valuables, to remember where it came from and remember that nothing comes for free in life and that the good Israel is always on your side. So if you are getting blessed, remember and don't forget where it came from.
Amen. Priest Ricardo, any more words that you want to say?
Yeah, I'll just say just keep staying in tune and just listen to more great lessons, here every week, and just don't chase that money. I always say, never chase money. Let money chase you. Because if you're doing right, then it will come to you. And that's what I say. But lay up your treasures with the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And in doing that is to learn about this God. And then you're going to want to serve him. And then you will lay your treasures there. Right? So that's all I'll say. Peace.
Thank you so much. Guys, I want you to like, comment, and share. My closing words are, please think about what we have said within this video. We have spoken about our history as people who were traded. We were traded, and the system is still there to lock you in so that they can profit from you. I ask that maybe in your prayers, you pray that your blessings come from the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, and that it doesn't come from any other source other than the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Be grateful, always to the God of Israel, and also show gratitude to his servants, those who work hard in the doctrine, Elder Shadrach, and those that support him to teach this message and this word. But remember, give that glory to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I hope you had a great Friday night, guys. We certainly did. Peace and love from the UK. Peace.